welcome back to the garage. Today we've got a lot we're going to try and get done. It may span over till tomorrow. In here I've got a lot of parts. Here we have the front pads, rotors, all the motor mounts, the rear wheel bearing, and the front sway bar end links. So we're going to get into all of this. So, I mean, it's quite a bit of parts. It goes all the way down in there. So we're going to pull everything out, get it all situated, and make a game plan for what we're going to tackle first. So here we have all the stuff. We went with Robustos, I don't know how you say it properly. Robustos brakes, Timekin wheel bearing. Definitely got to go with the Moog when you're going for suspension. And these are all the motor mounts here. I even went with the torque mounts that are in the front. So got all these. So that's everything. And I believe the first thing we're going to try and tackle is this guy. The wheel bearing, I think, is going to cause a lot of fuss. And I'm going to try and get it off without a slide hammer and probably fail. So I'm probably going to have to actually go pick up a slide hammer to rent. So we'll see. We'll check it out. We'll start looking at it and see what it looks like. And then we'll see if we can go get us a slide hammer. I just realized in all of this stuff that I got, I'm missing super important piece. My magnet. The box didn't come with a magnet from Rock Auto. What the hell is that? Where the hell am I going to put the... I don't have a magnet. This is stupid now. Oh, I guess I'm still going to put it on, but... Alright, so we are working on the rear. Again, this is the rear passenger side. We're going to take off the drum, make sure everything under the drum is fine, and we'll start talking about the ways we're going to get everything disassembled and reassembled as easy as possible. It is extremely windy outside. I don't know if you guys can... blowing leaves in here from outside. Good Lord. Okay, got the drum off. So this is what we're looking at here. It actually looks pretty good. Now's a good time probably to inspect your brakes. You can see the amount of dust I had in there. So I'm going to clean that out. And the drums look good. Shoes look good. So we're not worried about any of that. Next thing we're going to tackle is this guy. We're going to have to pry this open. Easiest way to do that is if you get a crescent wrench and kind of stick it in there, wedge it, hit it back with a hammer to try and push that open. You just don't want to break this, break the axle nut. Then it won't be that nice anymore. So let's go to get the axle nut off, and then we're going to try and see how hard it's going to be to get this off. Most likely we're going to need what's called a slide hammer, and it's going to go to these 3 points or 3 points on here, and it's going to use momentum and a weight to try and yank it off there. I don't expect it's going to be too terribly hard, but I don't think there's any other way to get it off. I don't think I'm just going to be able to pry it off, especially without having to take all this. So how we're going to try and do it is we're actually just going to take the entire assembly off, but we have to get this hub off first. So let's get this axle nut, and I may go get the slide hammer in between. All right, got the axle nut off. As we can see, you're going to need a little fire for that to get that off, but had to go to O'Reilly's, got the axle, or the slide hammer. Fortunately, I had to rent 2 pieces. Like this puller and this. Like this normally goes in there like that. Either way, I had to order it. So we're going to hook this thing up and see if we can't yank that bad boy on off there. Okay, so this is where we got the axle puller set up. This one was really, really close. So I had to tighten the lug nuts down with a gun. As you can tell, it's super, super close on all 3. Get a better view here. So we're just going to use this slide hammer here. I'm trying to set it up. Really hope this doesn't just fly off of here. That hurts. Holy smokes. This thing is on here, brother. This may be a little bit more than I thought it was going to be. I don't think I can heat that up to be able to get it out, but we'll keep... Oh, I know what I can try. 1 second. So here's another trick. I learned this one when it's kind of really tough, and I feel like it's starting to come loose, but you can wrap a towel around it, give you a little bit more swing. And there you go. Well, how about that? That actually worked out. Hub out, normal, the race here stays on. So we're going to have to get this off later, but that's okay. So the next thing we're going to tackle is taking apart this stuff. But we're not going to try and take apart everything. We're going to take the 4 bolts. Let me get the light so you can see better. These 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to take those loose, and that bolt right there where that bracket is for the e-brake cable. That way we'll be able to pick up on the whole thing, and we could even hang it up here. So we'll go ahead and take those 4 bolts out. We're going to pull it from the bottom and lift it up over the axle shaft. So, well, that's something you don't ever want to see. That came from this guy. This is the 12mm bolt. The other 4 are 14s. This guy just sheared right off. Well, not incredibly important, but be careful. Seems like it get a little too rusty, they'll break. All right, so the next thing what we're going to do is we're going to be pulling on the bottom here. And we're going to have to break it loose a little bit, what we can do with a chisel up onto the top. So let me show you where we're going to be trying to use a chisel at. So between, we're going to be between here. So not back between this trailing arm in here. We want to be between this and this. This is actually our wheel hub. That piece right there is the wheel hub. So we're going to get something to wedge in there and just tap it. Be gentle, and it should break free. All right, so just one more time, just so with the chisel so you guys can see. The chisel's going to go in between here. If you can find a little spot right there and try and just pry it. You don't really got to hit it really hard, I'm sure. But yeah, just getting in a gap right there. Actually, I'm pretty much prying it just by hand right now. Oh yeah, so just do like that and we'll get it all the way off and we'll hang it up. All right, little janky looking, but there we are. And underneath, there's our bearing right there. So we got 3 bolts in the back. We're going to swap over to the back and take those out, and then the bearing will be out. We're actually almost done. We're almost done. We're not at the hardest part. We're not at the hardest part. We're going to get to that. The hardest part is going to be getting the race off of the old bearing, but we'll tackle it. All right, so here we are on the back side. We've got 3 bolts, 1 there, 1 down here, and then 1 up at the top. Those are 17s. Be mindful, your ABS wire. We'll take those out, and then we'll get the bearing out from the front. So these are a 17. Probably going to be a little tight, so I'm going to use the same gun I used to get the axle nut off with. So, see, we got everything out now. So all we're going to do now is just hit the side of this with a hammer. Hopefully it just falls right out. So hopefully we'll be able to just... There we go. Just like that. Couple of knocks on her and she's out. All right, we are back pretty much together. The only thing we're missing is going to be the hub that's going to go here that we're going to have to get that extra race off with. So, got the new one on. You put it on the same way you got it off. I even put the 4 brackets on. Just be careful of this brake line. This brake line, let me get the light. That brake line back there is the one you got to massage to kind of be able to do that maneuver. Just be careful and try not to break it. Mine bent a little bit, but I'm pretty sure it's all right. So now we're going to move on to tackling this guy. What we need to do is we got to get this race off of here without damaging this, or we need a new hub. Which, I mean, honestly, isn't the end of the world for me. but if you guys don't want to have to replace it, then so we're going to take it off of this mechanism and use a little heat. Two ways you can do this. You can either heat this until it falls off and you kind of give it a little assistance with maybe like prying it off right around the edge there. There's a little lip, just a little lip right there, and you try and give it a little assistance. Or use a die grinder or a Dremel and you score about 80% of the way, and then you hit it with a hammer to split it. So we're going to try the heat method, and I'm going to get it up on the bench real quick. Okay, this is the setup I got right now. Since we're going to be putting fire to it right in there, I wanted something it could sit on that's not wood, because obviously my table's wood. So pretty much all I'm going to be doing is just heating this thing up. And pretty much I'll just be going around it, and I'll spin it every now and again, probably not touching it by hand. I doubt it's gonna get that hot all the way up there, but I don't want to take the chance. So before I forget, you can see, get a light, see that little gap? That shit is hot, so I'm not gonna touch it. That gap right there, just got my smallest chisel. Had to grind it down just to, holy shit, camera focus. Had to grind it down just a little bit, but just got it right in that lip and just gave it a couple good hits and started to separate. So we're just going to slowly work our way down and get this race all the way off. Then we're going to try a method to get this pressed back into the new one. So, holy smokes. That was tough. Not going to lie to you. There's the race. I'm not going to touch it. It's extremely hot. All this is WD-40 I put on here. There is just the hub. I definitely nicked this a couple times, so I'm going to run it over with some sandpaper to make sure it's completely smooth all the way around. Hindsight, cut it. Cut it. Get a die grinder and cut that thing and split it and then just like knock it off. I used a bunch of chisels, and what I did is I just took the initial chisel against where this was and just kind of popped it. And then I went at an angle to knock it around to get the full width. And then I stepped up to the next one, and then I stepped up to the next one, and eventually it started to come down so far that I was able to go through these holes and knock it down. So it's all hot. Took my gloves off, had gloves on and everything. So eventually once it got so far down through just prying on it and getting it hot, I'm talking about hot, dude. I mean, this thing was, we were getting it hot. You could tell the discoloration. Oh, let me see if I can turn it. Look at the discoloration. I mean, this thing was hot. So, I'm going to let that cool down for a little bit. It's getting a little late, but I'm going to keep on trucking, at least for tonight, to try and get this pressed back in. Okay, so here we are back with the hub assembly. Now, this is kind of the idea of what I'm going to attempt to do. I don't know if this is going to work. First off, this thing has to be cold. So, I'm actually going to put the hub assembly here, because it's still warm to touch. I just put it in there by hand. So I'm going to get this in the freezer, let it sit in there for probably like 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, and then hustle it out here, put it into place. Now, you have to remember you can't just hammer this thing on because you got splines in there that you got to line up. So I'm going to use a piece of wood and a hammer because you can get it pretty much up there as you need, and you can maybe two-hand it and wiggle the axle. You just reach around to the back because here's the axle right here. So you can wiggle the axle around. It might be a little bit difficult, might be good with two hands or an extra set of hands rather. So I'm going to get this guy cold so the metal will compress. Well, not compress, but so the metal will shrink. So that way it'll be easier to get it in rather than trying to fight it hot, because right now it's probably a little expanded. Okay, I don't have my mic in, so it's going to sound a little different. So you can see I made some good progress. All I used was that piece of wood, made sure it was leveled. This isn't the best way. Now that I'm thinking about it, and also I made sure the splines are fine. We're coming through, we're on. So it's not eating the splines or anything like that. But hindsight, see if you can get the axle out, which does mean you got to take off, I'm pretty sure, the lower trailing arm bolt, and maybe that one. This is heavy work, but I'll be back once I get it hammered all the way down. It has started to get quite difficult, so we may switch. We haven't tried the slide hammer yet, so we may switch over to that here shortly. But with the piece of wood, really, really good kinetic energy just hitting it. You can see where I'm putting an indent in it. So, all right, we're all back together. Sorry I didn't record a lot of it. I was beating this stuff so bad. That's the wood. Split in half. Started splitting again. So after I got it on there all the way, I think we're pretty much as far down as, far down as we need to go. I don't think I can go any more. So then what I used is the axle nut as an assistance to help pull it in, and that's as far as the axle was prior. You can see where they had it chunked down, and I mean I'm pretty much flush with that. So I'm pretty sure the bearing is seated all the way because I'm out of threads for that. Now don't use the axle as an anchor for like as soon as you get threads. Just try and hammer this on there as far as you can. If you can get the axle out, they make a tool that'll be able to just pull it in and everything like that. So when you're just doing it like this, blind-eyed, take your time, because the moment you get it sideways, you'll ruin this bearing. And to be quite honest, I do not know if this is ruined. I mean, it spins. It's got some weird like tonk 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 feel, but that's probably fine. That's probably nothing to worry about. But there we are, all in all. That is done. It is getting late. Tomorrow, we're going to be tackling brakes. Then sway bar end links. Then these. We're going to go one by one, so if you guys wanted to follow along, or if you guys have any of these replaced, these are all of them. Every single mount. There's the old one, and you can tell this thing was crusty. Beat up. So, hopefully I don't have a noise anymore, otherwise I'm living with it. See you guys in the morning. Good morning. Welcome back to the garage. We got everything buttoned up with the wheel bearing last night. That wasn't actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. Thought that was going to be way worse. I double checked the other side with the axle nut. So I pulled the wheel off to make sure that the axle was all the way as full as it could be, to make sure that there wasn't any more to give for the bearing. And I'm pretty sure it was as bottom as it was going to go. And it spins fine and it's on the spline. So just to reiterate, make sure you're careful. If you do the way I did it, put the hub in the freezer for about an hour and a piece of wood to try and smack it on there. The slide hammer didn't work to put it back on like I wanted it to. So, all right. So we're going to be starting on the passenger side because I have a lot more room on this side. So we'll go ahead and do the brakes and the sway bar end link just on one side so you guys can see how it's done. And then it's complete reverse of the other side. That way you don't have to see all the process. So I'll go ahead and go through the process on this side, getting the wheel off and doing the end links and the brakes. The brakes are pretty simple. They're about like every other brakes, but if you've never done brakes before, here you go. But then we'll move to the other side and you won't have to see all that. You'll see us doing the motor mounts. So let's go ahead and get the wheel off and take a look at everything underneath here because I already see problems. All right, got our wheel off. Give it a little bit of trouble, but you can see the rust on there. And I've driven this probably over 200 miles. That stuff's not going to come off. On the back, it's got a little grooving. But I wanted to show you the sway bar end links. That is going to be a fun time. I am not sure what in the actual hell. This looks like it's welded. Well, this is going to be an absolute nightmare. So here is a more difficult portion. Also, I noticed my boot here. It's Bluetooth. It's not connected. That's okay though, you know. All right, it's fine. So I'm just gonna. Well, I'm gonna do the brakes first, and hope for the best. So let's go ahead and start taking the brakes apart. So for the brakes, we're going to be taking the whole shebang apart. So I believe that's a 12. Is there anywhere I can? All right, got to fit it up there. So we're going to be taking these off as well as this guy. So I'm pretty sure this one is maybe a 17 and this one's like a 12 or a 14. So we'll take those two off. And beforehand, you can put a screwdriver. Oh, well, maybe not. They got a little block off here. Normally, you can put a screwdriver in there to push it to compress the caliper to get it off easier, but this shouldn't be too terribly tight. But if you don't have this little piece back here, you should be able to push on one side or the other of the rotor to be able to compress the brakes a little bit. But let's go ahead and get these bad boys tore apart. All right, well, after 20 minutes, literally, of looking for the 17 millimeter that I just had in my hand that I lost, I went and got another one because I couldn't find it, and the brakes are off. How about that? So we're pretty much just about the way done. So the two big bolts that go into the bracket are 17. The smaller ones that go into the caliper are 14. And that's pretty much it. Use maybe a flathead screwdriver, pry off the caliper. I've got it sitting right here. And then 17. And then if you do still have a set screw, just maybe get an impact screwdriver. Those are like a godsend. If not, it just comes right off. Mine just fell right off. Only reason I'm replacing them is because they have a shake. They're warped, they're for sitting too long, and the pads really aren't terrible. The pads they're all right. That's not too bad, but you can see all the grooving, and it's just, there's no coming back. Even if I turn the rotors, the pads are probably just going to be nasty. So I'll go ahead and get this side back together, and yeah, we're going to tackle the end links here in a sec. That's going to be a doozy. Okay, quick little tip here. I've got my brake rotor off, well, in the bag here, and when it comes in a bag, normally they put it in oil so it doesn't rust. Clean these off with brake clean. That will definitely save you a lot of headache. Because if these have oil on them, and then you go ahead and run it with pads, it's going to glaze them, and then you're going to get squeaks and all kinds of other issues. As well as I went with the new hardware. Some people don't use the new hardware, but it's kind of your discretion. If it's not really beat up and it's fine, I just clean it. I got this sweet whiz wheel that I use. Got a bunch of different variations. This too, and you can even go around the hub just so maybe the wheel doesn't get so stuck. So just a quick tip on that. Make sure you clean off any grease or oil that they put on these in shipping. Oh boy. So that is welded. That is welded to the body. I don't think I can get that off. Top side, welded. That is 100% welded. What are we doing? What are we doing right now? I may have to come back to the sway bars at another time because this is it's welded. Who welds those? What? This is not even structured. Okay, that is not a structural sound piece of suspension. That's so. But the brakes, though, wow, they look great. Okay, back to the other side. Haven't started the brakes yet, but look at, to my surprise, the other sway bar link. It's not welded. It's normal. And actually, crazy thing is, this is the side that's making noise. I can't really, I mean, it's kind of hard to make noise without like a pry bar or anything, but this is the side that I'm hearing making noise. Gonna make sure that the mounts and everything are fine, but all right, brakes are all done. So let's go ahead and see if we can tackle this front sway bar link. So, as we can see here, you can see right here. See, this part will start to spin. Everything right here is going to start to spin when you start hitting with this. With that right there. Now that's a 17. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to try and come over the top. I believe, where did I put it? Here it is. Come up and over the top here. Grab hold to that metal piece with pliers to hold it, because it's going to spin. Now this bottom one for me actually started to spin out. So the bottom one down there just started to spin, but the top one, or this one started to come out, but the top one started to spin. So That is pretty much the biggest issue. You can cut it off, honestly, because, I mean, it comes with everything. So you can cut the stud off on the back side over by where the... Over on this end, you could just cut this off right here. Cut the whole thing off, and then it'll just fall out. It won't have any threads on it. But if you don't have a way to do that, this is the way. You're going to want to grab a hold to this end with like some channel locks, or you can try and squeeze the whole thing, and then you'll want to get something on here. Now, this is a pretty tight fit. I'm coming from the back side of the axle and coming in to try and get to it, so it's a little bit of a pain. Now, for the bottom, I'm going to be honest, that looks like an absolute nightmare. Down there, if you got trouble with that one, look how close it is to the wishbone for the strut. If you got a lot of trouble with that one, cut that some gun off. Ain't no point. Ain't no point in even struggling with trying to get that. You're not going to be able to get a socket on there. That's a wrench only kind of situation. That's going to take you some time. Okay, here I have the new one from Moog. See, it's got the grease pins on it on both sides. And I just noticed something. So notice the length of that stud, right? Nothing too crazy. So I went, and I'm looking at these ones now. That's a little long. So I'm gonna have to fight that to get it out. That is way too long. I don't think these are even the correct ones for this. So I don't know how exactly yours. Hopefully it won't be that long if you're following along. So I'm gonna have to fight this to get these out of here, or find a way to cut them off. Okay, got it off. I ended up cutting it. I went to Harbor Freight after I took back the slide hammer and just got a die grinder or a side grinder, whatever you want to call it. But look at the old compared to the new. Look at how much longer the old one was. I had to take the bottom wishbone fork from the strut to get it off. I had to loosen it, and I had to knock it forward to get it out of there. Otherwise, it wasn't coming out. So I don't know if these were ever replaced. Seems like this was a wrong... I mean, honestly, the cut side is just about as long as what it should have been. So, but go ahead and install this, and I might even try and tackle the other side because we got the cutoff wheel. Got it down there. There's a mess down here. But we got it off. One other thing I did want to show before we got too far is if you can see on the front of that, it's this torque spit. You can, if you have the correct side, which I'm not exactly sure, obviously I cut this side off, you can put a torque spit in this end to prevent it from spinning and use a ratchet to be able to get it off. Now the rust is the reason why it grabs hold, and then it starts to spin the whole interior with the threads on here. So PP Blaster is your friend, but I didn't want to try and use this torque spit end and then just break my torque spit off into here trying to turn it. I've done it before. That's the only reason, but so you guys do know, sometimes it's a 5mm hex, sometimes it's a Torx. Obviously, these are not OEM. Okay, so we got the old one off. No real big problem, but I overlooked a really important thing. Was like, you know, we need holes. I need a hole. I need a hole for this stuff to go into. So, you know, kind of, I didn't think about that. So I'm going to have to find a way to try and drill a hole through that and that. And you're like, oh, just take the sway bar off. The sway bar goes up and over the exhaust. I'm going to be at this for a little bit. So my thought is take the fork off of that bad boy, and I'm probably going to catch hell getting it back on there, but it is what it is, to give me enough room to maybe be able to drill out and some stuff. Okay, I got it. I had to re-drill the holes. I broke 2 drill bits in this top one, drilled out this bottom one. It's probably oversized, it's not perfect, but they welded this. I have no idea why they welded this to this. I don't know, but had to use a step bit to drill it out. It wasn't perfectly straight, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's in there, and I mean, it's a CRV. This is not crazy. I'm out of breath, dude. I mean, look at all the shavings.
And the bits.
And the broken bits. This is a broken bit. These are broken bits. I mean, it was a nightmare, but I finally got that out. So again, brakes are all done. I'm gonna put the wheels on, and I'm going to bed. And it may not be perfect. It's done. It's good enough. And also, I got a Bluetooth. It's a Bluetooth jack stand right there. Just I had to use it. It's Bluetooth right now. It's okay. I still got that under there. Still got the jack. You can see it. All right. Maybe catch you guys in the morning for the motor mounts. I don't know. Welcome back to the garage. I have had Tylenol for breakfast this morning. I am hurting extremely bad. Here I have the driver's side mount, which is located down into here. Hopefully you guys can see that. And we're going to attempt to place this, which is the passenger side trans mount. This one is located under the air box, directly under the transmission. Once you get this out, it's pretty visible, and I'll show it when I get that out and about, and we'll show that. The other two mounts that I need to get out are located, well, if you could see this hole, one, that is the bolt. So this is on the driver's side, located right here. Here's the crank, but this is the bolt right here. And here's the other one on the other side, located pretty much just the opposite side of that one. So you have to take out some of these plastic pieces and whatnot and get it off. I'm going to try and get those as well if I feel optimistic. To give you a better shot, all you really need to take out is just the box version, not the whole tube. So this is our trans mount right here. We have a bolt located here, here, and then two on the top here. So I'm probably not sure what the best way to take all of it out would be. As long as you got your jack underneath there, which I have a jack located underneath of the transmission down there. So that hopefully won't move too much, if not at all. I might slide it a little bit over so it's kind of more over here. That way it doesn't try and sag down on this side, but just get her mounted somewhere pretty nice. And I think the first things I'm going to take on are probably these two, and then maybe tackle this one, and then this one last. It's pretty close to the actual transmission itself. There's not a lot of room between it and that, but this whole bolt's got to come out, and I think the nut is behind it. So we'll see what we can get going in there. May have to remove this guy too to get that out of there. Okay, after inspection of the new mount, there's actually a few more holes. This one on the side here, pain to get to. And I'm about to get this bottom one out now. I've, needed a little bit more than I thought. Oh, there goes the new mount. So, I took the dipstick out, put a piece of paper towel in there, nothing to go in there. But this bracket piece is free. The other bolt was back down in there. Now I got to get the one that's directly below everything. Straight through here. So that's going to be fun. Hopefully this is not in the way. May have to take that out. Actually, I think I will. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to swing past this. So you may have to get this stud out, which most people do as a double nut method. This one came out with it on there, which was nice. And that's okay if it does, but I'm going to have to try and double nut it with this and the other one to try and get it out. Okay, update. The mount's out. You can actually get to this last one from underneath. You go from inside the wheel well and up. It's a little bit of a pain. I had to use a 17 with a swivel, and that made it pretty easy. But if you notice, I kind of made a little bit of a oops. Tried to double nut, and now this one is stuck, and I can't. I don't have anything. And also, the new, I kind of boogered the beginning threads. So, well, I bought a new cutoff wheel, so I'm going to make something to make that work real quick. Still a little long. Got to shorten her up. Holy smokes, the stubbiness of this thing is going to be crazy. Oh, wait, hold on. I might actually... I just really needed to turn. Oh! I might actually be able to get this to go. Oh, boy. Okay, all is well. Managed to get it off a little pry bar. Mr. Stubby 17 for the MVP. That was scary. Close. Even fixed the threads on this guy. So everything is good. So we're going to go ahead and get the transmount back in there. Holy smokes. This car is full of surprises. Like, okay. Actually, you know what? That was my fault. And ta-da. We're done. Transmount done. So we're going to move over to the driver's side or the pedestal mount, however you want to call it. This definitely going to have to come out of the way. Luckily, last person didn't put that bolt back, so I don't have to put that one back in. Don't have it. That one, and down in, that guy right there. I believe those are the only two that we're going to have to take out to get this guy out of the way. And then once we just kind of move that somewhere. Then we've got 3 bolts. One down in there, hiding behind the... that guy, right there. That one. That one. And then one directly behind this guy. Now, these are smaller bolts. So we're going to try and be careful with these guys. These aren't as big and beefy as the trans one, so hope to God these don't break. Well, that's all done. That was actually not too bad. I put the small 14s around the outside, the 3 around the outside. I put those in by hand and ratcheted those because I didn't want to put them in with the air gun and break it. So came with a new top bolt, or top nut. So that was pretty nice. That wasn't too bad. So that one's all done. And here we are at the other one. You can see there's not a whole lot left of that, so I'm probably really just going to go ahead and tackle that. Well, this is one way to tell if your torque mount is bad. I just took the 2 outside bolts off, and the rest is still on the car. It's just hanging out right there. All right. I guess we'll get that to 19 there. We'll get that off and put the new one on. That definitely doesn't... Holy shit. Yeah, that thing was cooked. Well, here's something I didn't think was going to happen. This is seized altogether. So this is going to be some heat and, yeah. All right, she's all in there. Perfect. Took a little bit more to get this one. So to line this one up perfectly, you have to lower the engine to get it to slide on there. So I took the 2 bolts here and here, and I took them loose with the jack still there, and slowly lowered it down because this has a shaft that goes through the center of it here. And the shaft has to be threaded into the actual, I guess it's a mounting bracket for like the power steering and all that. So this is a long stud that goes all the way through, like that piece I had in my hand. So when you try and get this all off, if it does break, it's fine. You can just get it off from itself. You just use the bolt through the center, but the bolt has to be in, and then this nut goes on the outside. So you have to drop it down to make sure you can get it on there. It's a pretty malleable mount, so you might have to fight it for a little bit to get the 2 14s mounted, but it's not. That wasn't too bad. So appreciate everybody watching the video so far. This has been a doozy. Let me know in the comment section if you have any other questions or anything that I may have missed while doing this. This was a literal nightmare, I would say. Glad it's done. There are still motor mounts. I think I have 2 other ones, but I can do them at any other time. I'm just running out of a lot of time, and I got other stuff I got to get going. So this has been fun, but not that fun. Glad it's done, though. Glad it's done. Hopefully it does help with a lot of the driving and the noise. So we're going to go, the wheel bearing is the most important thing. I'm gonna ready to go put the wheels back on and go button it up and go take it for a test drive and everything like that. So I will see you guys in the next video. Remember, we're still gonna try and do a manual swap and the lift kit. I don't know when both of those are gonna happen, but eventually. So stay tuned for any other car videos, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.